Good morning. It's Kirsten. Happy Thursday. It's so good to see you. It is always, always so good to see you. Okay, so today I wanted to talk about stress and why insulin resistance actually leads to stress, which literally leads to more belly fat. So, these are all the things that I didn't know. These are all the things that I was a poster child not of in completion for my entire life. So, it's really funny. I was writing. Okay, so every morning when I get up, I do not well, I try to do every morning, but in all honesty, it's not every morning. But this morning I was writing and I was just remembering how I just so was not functioning in my 20s. And like I used to say things like this. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Kirsten Liebelt, and I turned back my insulin resistance over 10 years ago now. And I literally just like to share how I did it, and then people can do exactly what I did, which is really important because my dad died of type 2 when he was 63, and I had a lot of obesity and type 2 in my family, my extended family being Italian, and then also too, I'm the only one in my family that avoided type 2. So in my 20s, I used to say things, and now I'm really careful about my words much more now. But at the time, I didn't know how else to express it. Express it. I would just say things like, you know what? Things just don't dawn on me. And people would look at me like, what do you mean? Like, that's a weird sentence. And I'm like, I know, right? Like, I feel very dysfunctional. Like, not because of trauma, not because like things didn't make sense to me. And that may sound really kind of crazy, but like for instance, when I first started dating my husband, I thought it was the windshield factor. Does anybody know what it actually is? Like things didn't dawn on me. Okay, anyway, I digress. I will move forward. So anyway, and he's like, "What does the windshield have to do with weather?" I'm like, "Well, I don't know." But anyway, okay. So my 20s, I felt like I was just not very functioning. So I was super unaware of my body, even though I had all three of my babies in my 20s. And with my first baby, I was gestational diabetic, poking my fingers 4 times a day, taking my blood and checking my blood. Then my second baby, I was hypoglycemic. So I like passed out in the shower and had to go, all of these things. Zero clue that this had anything to do with insulin resistance. Zero clue that this was even remotely connected to anything other than I don't know. Like I just was having babies and I wasn't really paying any attention. Fast forward to when I'm 30, I my dad dies. My kids are 6, 3, and 6 months old, and my Italian daddy dies. Type 2 diabetes. And he had already done all the things, and I talk about this all the time. Heart surgeries, pacemaker, kidney dialysis, the whole lot. And then in my 30s, I feel like I started to maybe wake up a little bit to a few things, but I still did nothing. So I kind of had a decade of, wondering like, I don't understand if he was on all of these meds, why did he die? Don't meds heal you? Don't meds turn things back? Don't like, why is this true? And I started to really think about things like that because I knew that type 2 was not a terminal diagnosis, but I certainly thought that it was genetic. Que sera, sera, you're either going to get it or you're not. So not true. So not true. Okay. But I don't know this yet. So in my 30s, I'm just eating everything white and like raising my babies. But then I hit my 40s. And this is where like my mom intervened and she's like, Kirsten, you need to check your sugars. Like, you're not paying attention. And I'm like, I don't pay attention. Like I'm addicted to sugar. I don't supplement. Like I'm paying no attention to anything. And I'm super exhausted. My brain fog is like off the charts. I'm right in the middle of my 40s and I'm just freaking hot mess express. Like there's no, in my head, I'm just going to embrace this whole obesity thing because I'm not really sure how this is going to happen. Like, how will I ever, ever, ever give up the food emotional connection? Okay. So I was writing down this morning about just how in my 20s I was so dysfunctional. And then in my 30s, I kind of like started to whatever. And it wasn't until my 40s that I started to live super intentionally. And now I'm 59. And, what I love to let people know is where I came from, right? So, like, on TikTok, you can see that was kind of in my upper 40s. And so in my 50s, I was able to go from a 2X down to a large post cycle stopping. And this is really, really important information because most of you, I believe, are similar to me, where you believe Instagram's so funny. I make a move and it gives me fireworks. Y'all should jump over on Instagram because it's a party over there. Oh my gosh. So, but I basically, oh man, fireworks. Lost my train of thought. Hold on, it's coming back. It's coming back. What was I saying? It's okay. It'll come back to me. It always does. Thank you so much for liking the live. I so appreciate you guys more than you have any idea, like for real. Thank you. Thank you. So I go from a 2X down to a large in my 50s. And it's because unknowingly, unwittingly, really super naive, very disconnected from my body, disconnected from myself. God gives me some answers. I implement them, and here I am. So I am not the one that was ever going to be talking to somebody about any of this. This was not me. And it's literally the reason why I started. I usually have my supplements here. It's the reason why I started with supplements, because I wasn't willing to trade out my foods. The most authentic answer I can give you. I thought there was no way that this Italian girl was ever going to be able to switch out my ingredients. Like, that was not going to happen. Right. So now what I do is I teach exactly what I did. Like, I give you the exact same steps and I teach it, and then people get the results that they want to get. So basically, like, putting it into a nutshell, I can help insulin resistant women. I mean, I do have men customers, but mostly it's women because the Facebook group is for women. Anyway, lose sizes. So today what I want to do is I want to talk about how does insulin resistance affect, and I'll show you my food because I always got food, just to give you an idea of what it looks like to eat when you're insulin resistant the right way. Okay. In my opinion, I'm not a doctor, but I will tell you that through my studies, this has been through my studies and all of the testimonies that I have, like, it's very exciting. Okay. So when I decided that I wanted to do something about my own sugars, I did start with targeted supplementation because I wasn't really willing to. Oh my gosh, the fireworks are constant on Instagram. This is funny. I have to stop moving my hands a certain way. It's really funny. But I really needed to actually do something, and I wasn't willing to make this kind of a change. So when it comes to like women, especially, I am so convinced. You cannot unconvince me that women are sliding into their 40s. They're insulin resistant. They don't know it. And this is the key. This is the key that you've been looking for your weight loss. So I know insulin resistance now kind of is a buzzword. Like, people talk about it a lot. This is something I started dealing with like over 10 years ago because I needed to. But why does insulin resistance then lead to higher, Betsy, that's a really great question. I will answer that in just a second. Why does it lead to higher cortisol? Why does it lead to higher stress in your body? And then how is this like compounding the belly fat that's going on? So speaking of that, Betsy's asking the question, how do you know that you're insulin resistant? And belly fat is actually one of the clues, one of the signs, but there are many actually. So some of them are, so what happens when you're insulin resistant is that your cell, which needs fuel, every cell in your body needs fuel. Your insulin is a hormone that is being released by your pancreas, and it's trying to get fuel into your cell. But when your cell is closed off and it says no more, because it's just been over inundated, so to speak, and I'm a lay person, right? But just I'll make up words, overstuffed, and it says no more, and it's closed off like this. So what happens is your pancreas, number one, says, I didn't release enough insulin. I must need to release more insulin. And so it raises your insulin to try to get the fuel into your cell, because everything you eat is turning into sugar for your fuel. And the second thing that your insulin is going to do is it's a fat storing hormone. So it's going to store everything excess. Oh, can't get it in there. I'm going to go to your thighs. I'm going to go to your belly. I'm going to go to your back. I'm going to go to your inner side of your knees. I'm going to go to your saddlebags. I'm going to go wherever I feel like going, because I am a fat storing hormone. So I'm just going to keep on storing it. So that's why when you're constantly eating foods that are spiking your sugars higher and higher and higher, what's happening is more and more insulin is released to take care of it. Okay. So your inflammation is going boom, like just high, high, high. You have a lot of inflammation in your body. And then that inflammation is causing your adrenals to release more cortisol. And does anybody know? And by the way, if you're on the replay, I said I was going to put notes and I didn't put notes for today. I'm going to like write a note to put notes. I have to remember to say certain things when I get on here. And I don't do that. I need to put a note. Hold on. Don't mind me. Replay. If you're on the replay, tell me you're on the replay and where you're coming in from. I want to know. Replay. There. I put that down and then I will make other notes for tomorrow. I'll be on my game tomorrow. Today, maybe, you know, whatever. Okay. So there are other things that so does it mean insulin doesn't work? It means that your insulin is really hard at work doing other things like storing fat because it's not able to get the fuel in there. But after a while, total layman person, right? Like I think your pancreas just gets really tired and it stops. I don't think that it really runs out of insulin, but it gets tired. And that's when then you need to start to supplement with actual insulin, right? And that's when my dad, who was a type 2 diabetic, he was insulin dependent. He was giving himself 2 shots a day to try to keep his, everything was all wonky and out of control. And so, and I talked a lot about that yesterday, about how when he would get up and take his insulin injections and all of his meds, and it would take him hours for his body to decide what to do with all of that medicine, along with all of the foods that he was eating that were really, 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 really not helpful for him, right? Because he was told, and maybe you are being told too, to eat things like Rice Krispies and Cheerios and corn flakes, as long as it doesn't have sugar, and then skim milk and all that. And that was just spiking his sugars to the moon. But other signs of insulin resistance would be skin tags, discoloration in your neck. Well, it probably can be other places, but in the neck is kind of common. When you eat and your cell is saying no more, now you're not getting any fuel into your cell, so you are exhausted. So now you're chasing carbs. So you're hangry and you're chasing that quick fix sugar, because eating carbs is like burning pine. It burns fast, like zoom, it's gone. You would never heat your house. We had an outdoor wood stove. I'm in Minnesota, and we homeschooled our kids on 20 acres. On a hobby farm, and we had an outdoor wood stove. And so at the beginning of winter, we would buy like 10 cords of wood, but you would never buy 10 cords of pine, because if you'd be done like in a month. You need 10 cords of oak, because you need it to burn long and slow and hot. Does that make sense? So that's where food comes in to play that part. And these are the things that I talk about in the Facebook group. So I have a Facebook group for women. It's called Ditch Insulin Resistance. I'll try to find the logo for you so you can find it, for women. And at the beginning of every month, I do a 5-day challenge. And on that 5-day challenge, I'm able to talk about ingredient trade outs, and I'm able to talk about recipes. And June is the 1-year anniversary of this Facebook group. So I'm very excited about that. We've done a challenge now for 12 months in a row. And this is how people are getting tools in their toolbox and educated. And I talk a lot about, let me see if I can, oh, here, I'll do it this way. I talk a lot about ingredient trade outs, pantry, refrigerator. I take you into my kitchen, that kind of stuff. And oh, it's going to make me, I don't think I'm going to do that. On this phone, I'm not set up, but it's called Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women. The banner right now is for a June challenge. It's going to be a 4-day challenge. Usually it's a 5-day challenge, but I'm going out of town. So, but I'm able to teach stuff like this because this is oak. This is burning oak. Your blood sugars stay super stable. You're full, you're satiated. You're not spiking hardly anything. You're not calling on hardly any insulin at all. And this is 3 eggs. That's 18 grams of protein, 6 an egg. And then this sausage, you guys, people are like, it's expensive to eat real food. No, it's not. Oh my gosh. This is Aldi's Never Any chicken sausage. This is tomato and basil. Never Any. Have you seen this brand? Maybe you've used this. Maybe you've tried this. And it is 14 grams of protein. So 14 and 18, we have a really, really good level of protein there, you guys, are really good. So that's a high protein breakfast, very little spike to your sugar. And so very little inflammation. And I bet I'm missing. Yeah, no sugar. Yeah. So basically no grain, no sugar. And that is a really, really, really good. And that took me a while to get there only because I didn't understand. I didn't understand what was happening. And I didn't understand what was causing me to actually not be able to finally then lose weight. So if you're a female and you are working to try to lose weight and you think that you're insulin resistant, this is where my narrow, very simple conversation comes into play, because basically what's happening is you might be just like me, where you're wondering, what's wrong with me? Why are things not working anymore? Why am I so exhausted? Why is my brain fog off the charts? Why is my belly fat only increasing? And for women, we've had a lot of messages given to us over the years as to how to eat, right? So there was the whole low fat situation where you had to literally choose to hate food because it wasn't going to taste good. And it was the only reason it was going to have any flavor is because they were going to add so much sugar to it. And that is such an issue. Like that created such a problem, right? So insulin resistance going down the road leads to PCOS, gout. There's a connection with fatty liver, type 2, and dementia, because type 3 is insulin resistance of the brain. So if you are looking for a track to run on, if you are looking for a way that you can actually unlock this key that you didn't even understand, because maybe nobody, just like me, nobody has told you that insulin is a hormone. But then secondarily, kind of like a sister hormone, I'll just call it that, would be cortisol. And so what happens is when you have insulin resistance and you're causing stress inside of your body, your adrenals are going to release more cortisol because that's your stress hormone. So you've got these hormones that are trying to regulate your universe. And when you have too much of them, like insulin and cortisol, there's fallout. And so that is really the key to being frustrated for a lot of women. And so I feel like I totally understand where you're coming from, because I used to say to my husband all the time, like, what is wrong with me? And he'd be like, nothing is wrong with you. Quit saying that. And I'm like, no, seriously, what is wrong with me? And, when old things don't work anymore, the way that maybe you were counting points, maybe you were living in a calorie deficit only, maybe you were using a lot of high intensity cardio to try to lose, and it was working for a while and now it doesn't work anymore. Well, actually, once you hit perimenopause and menopause, you know what? You don't want to be doing a lot of exercise that's causing even a higher increase in cortisol. That's not very helpful. So anyway, so I wanted to just show people what it looks like to actually eat a high protein, moderate, really good fats, the really good ones that make your hormones happy, and then really, really, really low carb. And the reason why is because once you've stepped into insulin resistant land, it's just a different lay. That's all. You just have to receive the fact that it's a different universe, but now you can turn things back, but you do have to have a track to run on. You do have to do things a little differently. But the best news ever is that you don't have to stop being a foodie. I thought that I did as an Italian girl. I thought that I had to give up loving all of the foods. And I don't. I just had to learn how to trade out ingredients. And that is such a really powerful, important piece of the puzzle, because otherwise you don't have any hope and you're like, this is just going to suck. And so why bother? And if you get into why bother mode, then that's when things can get really, really, oopsie, I'm going to change that. when things can get really, really goofy for yourself. And it's frustrating, right? So instead of being frustrated, let's get a track. So I talk about targeted supplementation all the time. I talk about the trio. You guys all know that if you've been following my content, because that's what I started with. And that's where all the testimonies come from. So if you want to like jumpstart your body and then get a track to run on, I have another challenge starting June 3rd in the Facebook group, Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women. You can literally, you've got time. You have time. You do not have to grab the trio in order to enjoy the challenge. It is not a requirement at all. But if you want to be prepared and you want to get jump started in your body to help your insulin and your sugars come down, to help your liver function, get your metabolism going, like this is literally where all of the testimonies are coming from, of people bringing down their sugars, losing weight finally. You know, I even had somebody recently who was on Ozempic and she lost 10. I have to be careful. I shouldn't say that word. She was on the O injection and she lost 10 pounds right away, type 2 diabetic. But then they couldn't refill it. And then, so she lost it in a month, couldn't refill it, gained it back, was frustrated, went back on, didn't do the same thing. So when she saw some of my content, she started the trio in December and immediately in 2 weeks lost 7 pounds. It's just a natural way of giving your body raw materials that it needs to function. So even somebody who, if you have been on other supplements, or if you are right now, some people are on berberine. I just never knew about it because that wasn't a part of my universe over 10 years ago. It just wasn't. But for some people, it's working better than others, right? So I had somebody who was on berberine and inositol, started the trio in September, couldn't lose 1 pound for 3 years, type 2 again. And in 2.5 months, her morning sugars go down 30 points and she loses 14 pounds. It's just biology. So it's not a trick. It's not magic. It's not anything. It's just literally targeted supplementation. Like, don't just buy a bunch of stuff and leave it in your cupboard, right? Like your makeup drawer. And it's just very targeted. And then the other half of that would be, and so if anybody wants to know about that, you can, Facebook, you can always drop trio in the comments and I will see that. Everybody else, you have to DM me and let me know that you want information, because the live comments will go away when I'm done. And if you really want to nail your cortisol, if that is a piece of your puzzle, I will tell you that one of the best benefited products that you can have is, hi, first time seeing you. Can you explain what the trio is? I will. Thank you for asking, because I know that I can talk fast. 3 supplements. They are literally 3 supplements that have 3 ingredients that help with insulin sensitivity. So it's helping your body go from one section to another, targeting 3 different directions into the system that you need targeted. Your visceral belly fat, that's underneath that fat that you can squeeze. Your liver is your fat metabolizing organ. And if you don't get your liver up and running, this is definitely a problem, because your liver governs your hormones. Insulin is a hormone, cortisol is a hormone, and it also governs the glucose in your blood. And then you also want to be able to have, like, we're just deficient in certain things. We're deficient in certain minerals, and we need to be able to replenish them. And when we do, it is amazing how all of a sudden our sugars and our insulin can be brought into better ranges. And so that's what the trio is. 3 supplements that have 3 ingredients that help with insulin sensitivity. And I usually have it on me and I'm like, what, why am I not prepared this morning? I'm looking for my thing. Anyway, and so, because they're small, I like to show them because they're small. And so, because I know a lot of people, y'all are like, don't want to swallow pills, and I get it. But this is just where I started. And first I started speaking locally to people, like my sphere of influence. And I had somebody, and I would never make claims, but he wanted to reorder his diabetes pills. And I was like, it's working for other people. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. Because I always feel like I'm an anomaly. Don't ask me why. That's a whole nother, it's that whole imposter syndrome thing. Another conversation. So it took me a while before I came online to actually talk about this, but now I have so many testimonies. And so, like Instagram, I always say you guys are the most favored, because at the top of the Instagram page, of my page, there's a button that's a pink button. It's a pink highlight bubble, and it has testimonies, and you can file through the testimonies and see what they look like and see what's resonating with you, whether or not you need to have your mind calmed about food and sugars. That might be what you're thinking that you need, because I needed that, because the sugar cravings were off the charts. I needed my mind to calm about food because my background was just a very indoctrinating background. As an Italian, you eat, manja, manja, come on. Like, what's wrong with you? And don't be rude, right? And so sometimes you need to have a calmness to your mind about food. Sometimes people they need their appetite to like seriously like simmer freaking down. Like, sit down and shut up. I'm starving all the time, which is a sign of insulin resistance. So these are the things that you'll see in those testimonies, or somebody going, oh my gosh, I never thought I could get my morning sugars down. What is happening right now? Right. And people lay awake at night worrying about different things, depending upon where you are on the spectrum of insulin resistance. You might just have a little bit of belly fat. But if you need to add a layer for your cortisol, I would say not just the trio, but actually then ask me about the ashwagandha. And I'm going to tell you the reason why it's so important to have an ashwagandha that's super clean and third-party tested is because you don't want extra stuff in your ashwagandha. You just don't. You want something that's potent and effective. And ashwagandha will help with your cortisol, but by default, it helps with your sleep because it's helping to bring your cortisol down. So it's going to help you with your mind, your mood, your mind by default, but your mood, that's what it's kind of known for, your stress because of your cortisol hormone. And then it's also going to help with sleep. Not because you take it and it makes you sleepy, but because you take it and it's beginning to regulate your mood. It's beginning to regulate your stress hormone. So you actually can sleep. You actually can like stay asleep, etc., because you're starting to bring things into whatever. And I bring that up very specifically for today in terms of stress, connection to the trio. If that's you, if you're looking for insulin resistant help, plus help with your stress, like by using ashwagandha. There's a special going on right now where they're saying if you buy 2 ashwagandha, you get a free stress probiotic, which is a huge deal. Like, this is a very special deal. It's why while supplies last. I know you don't know anything I'm talking about. I get that. But that's where if you message me or if you leave a message on Facebook and you say, whatever, like that you want to know about the trio or you want to know about the ashwagandha, etc., and then you guys can message me. That's why I want you to know, because this stress probiotic is not only is it super special in terms of ingredients, like I've never seen this before. It's using a very patented, it's literally an ingredient from melon that helps with your stress in your gut microbiome, but it's $46, so you get it for free. And I feel like everybody wants to know, when I start talking about how to get free shipping, how to get points for your product so that you can get cash off of future orders, how you can get a free product with a purchase, whatever. People want to know that because I'm sorry, inflation is freaking out of control. Like, I know I'm paying 3 times more for my groceries. I don't know about you. I live in Minnesota. Maybe it's not the same where you are, but that's just where it is. So anywhere you can like tighten things up, that's always very helpful. But anyway, so this breakfast, 18 grams in my eggs, 14 grams in my chicken sausage. This literally now, my blood sugars will stay so stable. And when you think about protein like this for a meal, you are maintaining your lean muscle mass. You're staying full. You're staying satiated. You have stabilized blood sugars. And I'm telling you, this will literally fill you up this will fill me up now. I won't think about food for a few hours because I will just be so like, I'm not burning pine, I'm burning oak. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. But I wanted to just come on and give you some really good information today. And just remember that, insulin resistance does lead to a lot of things. Like we talk about PCOS and type 2 and gout in your feet, dementia. Like, we really do want to catch it when it's way back here. We don't want to wait. I was super unaware. I'm so grateful that I stumbled upon help, so to speak. Like, I feel almost like God tricked me into getting the help that I needed, because I am now 59. I'm the only person in my family who avoided type 2 diabetes. My dad took the route of medication and had a lazy Susan of medication. I took the route of supplementation, not because I was smart, not because I was some granola person and I'm such a supplementer. No, I was taking ibuprofen. And then in my 30s, I took a weight loss supplement that got banned. We used to buy it at Walmart. It was really great. It got banned. That's where I was, massively addicted to sugar. So I'm just telling you, like, what if it's not your fault? And I'm a person of high responsibility, high personal responsibility. But what if it's not your fault? That you are just craving sugar all the time, that your cravings are off the chart, that your appetite is out of control, that you are so freaking exhausted, that you think you're eating healthy, you think you're eating clean, you think you're not, you're just like, how much less can I eat? How much more exercise can I do? But you're looking for the wrong key. You're looking in a handful of keys. I wish I had a bunch of keys on me right now. You're looking at this whole ring of keys and you're looking at all the wrong keys. Because the key is insulin. It's a hormone and it's driving your fat storage. It's keeping you from losing fat. And it's also keeping energy out of your cells and you are exhausted. So what if you could begin to back up the bus, get on a track to run on? Every month I do my challenge at the beginning of the month so that you can take down that month, so that you can nail it to the floor and then get encouraged and resourced and ready to go again for the next month. And then we'll do it again. And we've done this every single month for an entire year. It's the anniversary of the group. It's called Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women. And the banner right now is a June challenge that I do. I think 3,400 women are in there now, for 34 fireworks on Instagram. But the question is not, where can you be in 2 weeks? I love all the fast testimonies. I really, really do. And again, highlight bubble, it's pink. It's at the top of Instagram. You can see them for yourself. They're exciting. They really are. They get your hopes up and they encourage you. But the biggest question is, where can you be by the end of the year? If this is a healing journey, if it takes sometimes a year to heal your morning sugars, called Dawn phenomenon, if it can take a year to get your blood pressure under control, because these are all fallout pieces of insulin resistance, it's starting here and it's spreading to all the other issues. Where do you want to be? Maybe by the end of 2024, we have half a year left, right? Where do you want to be even by the end of summer as you're going into fall and candy season, which goes from Halloween to Easter? Like, you could start to back up the train and go, wow, I'm not as tormented by food. I actually have brain space to think about how I'm going to put together, a 30-gram protein breakfast. Okay. Like, you have availability to actually process what's going on. So again, you can always, Ambera, I love that. Is it Ambera or Ambera? Either way, really beautiful name. And so yes, I can see, and you have fatty liver, and yes, I'm sorry. And cirrhosis is a tough one, right? Now, I'm not a doctor, but cirrhosis is a tougher one, right? Becky, I see both of you. I see your trio comment. So you can comment trio on Facebook, and then I can see it even after I get done, and I will come and I will chat with you. And then TikTok, it's a little harder. I'm not going to lie. They make it harder to communicate on TikTok. So sometimes you have to jump over to IG, or there is a phone number on my profile that you can text me and I'll just answer you, because it's me on the other side. And IG, you can always just DM me. You guys have the best of every world. You've got the testimonies at the top of the page, and you can just DM me. So let's just do that. But anyway, I'm going to go eat breakfast, and I just hope you have a blessed, amazing Thursday. Like, don't go without hope for one day, not even one day. Find me, and I will show you where the testimonies are. I will show you where the trio is. I will show you where the Facebook group is. I will answer the questions that you have. Don't go another day without hope, thinking that you can't make a difference in your situation. Don't do that, okay? You are so welcome, Betsy. I love that name too. Okay, you guys have a super blessed day, and I love you all. And I will see you tomorrow, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Oh, yay. I'm so, so glad. I have to put my hand up here so I can see it. I think it's Shauna. Nice to meet you, Shauna. Okay. Reach out to me. I'm available. See you guys all later. See ya.